You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hi, I'm Becca Hoppiger. You're watching ABC10 This Week. In an exclusive interview, we hear from the mother of one of the Stockton mass shooting victims as she awaits justice weeks after the killing of her adult son. 3 children also died. In dollars and cents, more Americans are polyworking to keep up with rising costs. We find out the challenges. And then we hit the back roads. John Bartel takes us to Washington State to see one of the largest reindeer farms in America. ABC 10 This Week starts now.
Now to our continuing coverage of the deadly Stockton mass shooting. It's been almost 3 weeks since that tragedy.
Yeah, the shooting left 4 people dead and 13 injured. They've been identified as 8-year-old Maya Lupian, 8-year-old Journey Rose Guerrero, 14-year-old Amari Peterson, and 21-year-old Susano Archuleta. Tonight, in an ABC10 exclusive, we're hearing from the grieving mother of the 21-year-old.
Julia Arista says she's making preparations to bury her son, Susano, as she waits for justice and for someone to be arrested.
ABC10's Roxanne Elias is live in downtown Stockton. And Roxanne, I know it's just a heartbreaking time for that family.
It is, Chris. Today in tears, Julia Arista shared with us that she's trying to be strong and stay strong for her 4 other children that she has. And although she's in despair, today she was able to have a little bit of peace after getting to see her sons since the first time since that shooting.
I got to go see my baby, and I got to hold his hand, and I got to brush his hair and give him a little kiss to let him know that.
For the first time since the shooting in Stockton,
Let him know that I was there.
the mother of 21-year-old Susano Archuleta IV was able to visit her son at the funeral home Wednesday morning. Julia Arista says on the day of the shooting, her son was supposed to briefly stop by the birthday party on Lucille Avenue and then go visit her. But instead, she got the call telling her she needed to go to the hospital and that there was a shooting.
They said that he was getting kids into safety, trying to put them in this little area, and I guess he drugged his girlfriend there too. And then I don't know, I guess he was shot in the midst of that.
The mother of 5 says her youngest son was shot in the neck and died at the hospital. His girlfriend, who he was with at the time, was also shot about 7 times. She's at home recovering, but left heartbroken. Arista wants her son to be remembered for being loving, funny, and her hero.
The problem that I'm having is the people stereotyping him, labeling him, leaving him out. That's what bothers me. I know he was a young adult. He was only 21. He didn't even get to live life yet. I know he wasn't, and the babies, I feel so bad for the babies, but, his life mattered too.
Arista is now maneuvering through the process of coping with the help from the Peacekeepers, a violence prevention program with the city of Stockton.
Just peacekeepers just here grieving with the families. I mean, they don't know behind the scenes what we do, but our peacekeepers are crying with the mothers, this is very emotional.
The grieving mother says she is making plans with her son's father to bury her son in the next few days, but she's left wondering what he could have become.
He didn't get to live life yet. He'll never get married. He'll never have babies.
Some sad words there. Now, Arista also says she wants the mother who held the birthday party to know that she's not upset with her. She doesn't blame her for what happened. She says that the families that lost their loved ones should right now be supporting one another through all of this and as they cope through their loss. I'm live in Stockton. Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
Our hearts are with them too, Roxanne. Thank you for that update.
And remember, if you have any information, please call that number on your screen, 209-946-0600. You can remain anonymous. The reward for information leading to an arrest is now at $130,000.
New tonight, an exclusive interview with the founder of a Texas-based nonprofit after city leaders questioned his claims of a gang ceasefire in Stockton.
ABC 10's Nazi Javid is live in the studio with the exclusive. And Nazi, I know you've been looking for answers about those claims and accusations. This is all a scam.
Yeah, after days of silence and growing criticism, the founder of the Youth Peace and Justice Foundation agreed to speak with me. I was surprised, actually, and I asked him directly about the ceasefire claims, about gang contact, money, why city leaders said they were never contacted, and why he decided to speak now.
Daniel Chapin is the founder of the Youth Peace and Justice Foundation, originally the Uvalde Foundation for Kids.
It's time for me to step up and address some of these questions and put a face and a name and a voice.
Stockton city leaders, including the mayor, police, and the San Joaquin County sheriff, say they had no contact with the organization and no way to verify a ceasefire.
It is contradictory to what I'm saying. We recognize that there's been a gap, and that goes back to that strategy.
Chapin says that gap was intentional, claiming his group limited contact with officials by email only to protect people he claims were involved in a temporary truce. Law enforcement says there's no way to verify that any agreement ever took place. I think there's been a lot of questions in the community about whether this ceasefire actually happened. So did it happen?
Absolutely did happen. It was tactical and strategic.
He claims known gang affiliates contacted him.
I'm talking about individuals that were involved in these gangs themselves.
So you're saying gang members contacted you?
I'm saying that they contacted us and they said, you know what, it's going to break out up there.
So he says his nonprofit stepped in, but national experts have criticized what they call parachuting into a city after a tragedy.
It's what parachutes are made for. When Uvalde happened in 2022, a community was ripped apart. When Stockton happened in 2025, a community was ripped apart. And what do we hear? We need help. We need all the resources.
The most serious accusation has been that this is a money grab. Shouldn't you have a relationship with the city so that you have more buy-in and people are not calling it a scam?
That's why I think it's ironic that in some cases people look at us and go, well, are you a scam? And yet what we're actually doing is the exact call for accountability. We will never go into a community and say, we're going to do all of these things. Write us a check, or we want a piece of what the mayor say, a piece of the pie. No, never have done that. Never will do that.
As for what he does want,
the ultimatum is, from this point forward, the foundation is going to hold the city of Stockton and any city across this nation accountable for every dollar that it claims is going to direct violence intervention.
But the mayor said he hasn't reached out.
Here's the commitment that I'm going to make to you right here and now. As part of our getting centered into Stockton, I'm going to personally pick up the phone and call the mayor's office. If the mayor will give me a voice, I'll sit down with him.
And I also asked him about the $5,000 reward offered to find the suspects in the mass shooting. He says he stands by that money offer, but says it will not be delivered until someone is in custody. Meanwhile, Chapin says he plans to maintain a presence in Stockton by opening a hub for local resources. Back to you, Chris, Laura.
Yeah, Nazi, excellent reporting there. Thank you for that update. We want to mention the mayor and law enforcement officials maintain that unverified ceasefire claims can create confusion and risk to public safety.
Almost 20 days later, the Stockton community is still trying to heal from a mass shooting that left 4 people dead and 13 hurt.
The search for the shooters is still active, and community leaders say there's still more work to be done to support victims as well.
Yeah, they spoke to the media today. ABC10's Gabriel Porras was there and is live tonight with the latest update. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Chris and Laura, community leaders were direct in their pleas this afternoon, requesting tangible items to help victims. But at the center of today's press conference was a message of unified support for those impacted. A city still suffering inside this Stockton church Thursday.
Today we stand united.
Was a community coming together.
And we are coming together to center all of the victims of this tragedy during a time of great need for those who were shot and for those who were present on that day.
On November 29th, at least 50 shots from 5 guns fired into a 2-year-old's birthday party, 13 injured and 4 killed, including 3 kids.
We have been walking alongside families from the moment the crisis unfolded.
The race to help families led by the San Joaquin County Youth Justice Coalition. The group has been putting victims in touch with services like social worker and therapist Licia Harrison.
This type of trauma, this is not just your typical therapeutic approach, right? And so it does sometimes require some specialized training. And so we really want to make sure that the victims get the type of care that they need.
Harrison is trained to do just that, helping 3 mass shooting victims herself. Her nonprofit taking on even more.
We are definitely at capacity. If there are any other clinicians in the local area that would be willing, to take on a couple of clients, we're happy to meet with them.
Coalition members say that's not all.
Right now, our community is facing immediate material needs like clothing, diapers, burial support, and mental health services. You can donate them to Reinvent South Stockton Coalition.
Amid the grief and the shock, those who are busy helping, now hoping the rest of the community helps and listens.
Violence caused by disinvestment will not have the final word. Fear will not define our neighborhoods, and despair will not silence our hope.
And support has also been coming in for the families of those who died here at the memorial, but also financially as well. Thousands have been raised online, and in the past few weekends there have been fundraisers at local businesses, and that continues this weekend too, including at a tattoo shop on Saturday and Sunday, and with a benefit concert on Saturday night, all raising money for the families of those kids whose lives were cut so short here. Live in Stockton, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents, cost of living in the spotlight. It's driving a trend called polyworking. For many people, it's becoming a survival strategy. They're building second and third income streams to help make ends meet. Could polywork work for you?
This is different than just having a side hustle, right? Can you explain some of the nuance here? What makes this different from just having like a side gig?
Yeah, well, I think, Laura, a lot of times relying on one employer nowadays, I think maybe feels risky for some people.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates more than 8 million American adults now hold more than one job.
In some situations, it's helping people to kind of build a parallel career. It's fulfilling some other needs in their lives, both economic, but I think also personal as well.
According to a poll by Monster, 47% of workers say they polywork, while 51% say their added monthly income from polyworking is essential, and they couldn't cover basic costs without it. While the need may be great, Eshelman warns to do your research on job listings you see.
Being careful about these opportunities that can circulate online. Some of them are scams.
He also reminds you to consider the potential impacts on your primary job.
Think about how your employer might view, you as an employee with a side venture. And I'm not suggesting that employers would necessarily have a problem with it, but just make sure you're in tune with your primary employer's HR policies and procedures.
If you are thinking about adding side work, Eshelman recommends choosing work that aligns with your skills and energy, not just what pays fast. Treat side income with a plan. Emergency fund first, then debt reduction or retirement savings. Don't ignore taxes. Multiple income streams can complicate filings.
Can polywork help strengthen someone's financial future?
Polyworking can strengthen financial resilience, accelerate some of these longer term goals that we're talking about here, Laura. But, it's just making sure that we recognize that burnout is real. And extra work certainly can eat into family time and mental bandwidth, and to try to measure and weigh those things can be a bit difficult, but important considerations as well.
But keep in mind, polywork needs structure. Eshelman says the danger of polywork is fragmented income with no strategy, which adds stress instead of security. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. You can stream all of our Dollars and Cents coverage on the ABC 10 app. Your money questions have answers. Email me at lpainter@abc10.com.
The menu at popular chain restaurants are going to look a little bit different as we get into next year. We first reported on this bill back in April when a 9-year-old little girl went to the Capitol to advocate for it. Since then, the bill passed nearly unanimously and the governor signed it into law. ABC 10's Becca Habegger circled back with that little girl to see how she's feeling about it now.
Yeah, Alex, we first reported on this bill back in April. It is when that 9-year-old girl went to the Capitol. This was the first of its kind law in the entire nation. And so we circled back to see how she's feeling given her role in this new law.
I hope that it raises awareness
9-year-old Addie Lau and her mom Robin Lau say trying to eat at a restaurant with Addie having multiple potentially life-threatening allergies is difficult.
When you go to restaurants, we try to communicate with the staff and tell them about our allergies, ask what each meal contains. Oftentimes, we don't get a lot of good information. It's, oh, let me go check, back and forth, 20 minutes later, you're still not sure if the information is correct.
Yeah, it was really hard to eat out.
They teamed up with Senator Carolyn Menjivar, who also has severe allergies, on Senate Bill 68, also known as the Allergen Disclosure for Dining Experiences, or ADDIE Act. It requires restaurants with at least 20 locations nationally to disclose the top 9 allergens alongside each dish on their menu. Those are milk, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, wheat, peanuts, soybeans, and sesame.
My name is Leo Taco and I support this bill.
Back in April, Addie and her third-grade classmates spoke at a news conference and Senate committee hearing in favor of the bill. Senators also heard from the California Restaurant Association and nonprofit Food Allergy Research and Education, which opposed Senate Bill 68.
This bill requires on-menu printing. We have a vastly dynamic supply chain network. And this bill, we believe, takes a static approach.
Menus cannot capture allergen risks introduced through sourcing, manufacturing, or even cross-contact during kitchen prep. As written, the bill would create a false sense of security for food allergy families.
Since then, amendments to the bill allow restaurants to either print the allergens on the menu or have it available in digital format, like a QR code. Still, the California Restaurant Association has said listing allergens for each dish will add a burden to restaurants. Robin says she believes this change could help restaurants.
Our hope is that by improving the allergen information at restaurants, people like us will dine out more.
The ADDIE Act passed with overwhelming bipartisan support, unanimously in the Senate and with only one no vote in the Assembly. Governor Gavin Newsom signed it into law on October 13th, much to Addie's delight.
So that night, we had a dance party, and the day after that, I had a party in my classroom with apple cider.
Now, the bill might be controversial, but one thing is not. Addie is adorable.
She is so sweet, so poised, and what a great experience to advocate for legislation on behalf of her health and other people like her who have allergies. So very impressive young girl.
Now, Becca, I do want to ask you, because there are some exemptions to some restaurants. Give us a little bit more of the details on that.
Yeah, so this law does not apply to restaurants with fewer than 20 locations nationwide. It also doesn't apply to smaller restaurants like food trucks or food vendors at farmers markets, right? Smaller operations. So we're talking about chain restaurants with 20 or more locations nationwide. But, Addie and her mom are still hoping that the culture changes with restaurants, much like we expect more or less now to kind of walk into a restaurant and see the calories listed. That has become more common. They're hoping that even restaurants not required to list allergens will do so. And they hope, as you saw in the story, that restaurants will see perhaps more families like theirs coming in and impacting positively their business, bringing more business to those restaurants. So anyhow, this goes into effect July 1st, but we have other new laws going into effect January 1st. And we want to tell you about those. And streaming now on the ABC10 streaming app, we break down California's newest laws in 2026 and how they impact you. You can stream the special right now on our free ABC10 app.
In 10 on Your Side, viewers tell us they're fed up with the Fix 50 highway construction project, saying it's downright scary to navigate with little communication on detours. We went straight to Caltrans for answers.
I'm sick of it. I'm fed up with it. If I could avoid it, I would, but I can't.
We know Adam McCurdy is not alone. He tells 10 on Your Side he's fed up with the Highway 50 Fix 50 construction project, saying detours are rarely if ever posted, making for a confusing daily commute to work.
It's kind of confusing. It could be scary sometimes, so it's like a little bit risky too on the way to work. And then like one day there'll be like two brick walls, or not brick walls, but concrete walls one way, and then the next day it's like coming the other direction. It's kind of confusing. There's no consistency, So it's like one day you could get caught for an extra 30 or 40 minutes if you don't know if they switched the things the night before, So no clarity, no communication.
We took those concerns about detour updates and navigation straight to Sergio Sanchez with Caltrans.
Where we're going to be having these long extended closures, we always distribute a traffic alert to all the media, and we post this in our social media. Those traffic alerts usually have it's just a suggested detour map when those closures are happening.
And when it comes to day-to-day updates,
and you just type Caltrans Quick Map, it will take you to the website. That is the best way to be in the know of the latest closures that will be happening. We are aiming to have the main line open by the end of this year. By the main line, I'm referring to US 50 per se, no traffic splits, no new traffic alignments, nothing. It should be open by the end of this year. Work will still be happening on the project until the summer of next year, but that is going to be work, like aesthetic work.
You heard him, Caltrans, telling 10 on Your Side, all those traffic splits and headaches will soon be a thing of the past.
Correct. That will be our Christmas gift to Sacramento County.
I hope it hurries itself up because I have to take 50 to and from work every day.
And 10 on Your Side is here to help. Do you have a problem and don't know where else to turn? Email me at onyourside@abc10.com.
California Senate Republicans sent a letter to state leadership today outlining their priorities for the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget. This is the first step in what will be a months-long debate, with yet another budget deficit on the horizon. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh explains.
When the California legislature resumes sessions in January, the clock will start ticking to finalize a budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The Nonpartisan Legislative Analyst's Office is predicting a budget shortfall of almost $18 billion, $5 billion more than anticipated, and a deficit of about $35 billion the following year. Senate Republicans on Wednesday announced their priorities.
The final budget really ends up being a product put together by the governor, the president pro tem, and the speaker. And we have absolutely no input into that at all.
Republican State Senator Roger Nilo, vice chair of the Senate Budget Committee, emphasizes his party's budget demands are often ignored as they are the minority.
I think it's going to be an uphill fight for them on a lot of these.
Among other goals like wildfire prevention, water storage, and reducing costs for renters, Senate Republicans are again pushing for full funding of Proposition 36, the increase in penalties for repeat offenders in drug and theft crimes, for which nearly 70% of Californians voted.
The governor does not have that as a priority at all.
Republicans also say spending is, quote, wasteful and poorly targeted and are pushing for transparency in how money is spent, like on federally funded health and human services programs, which are already a point of contention under President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
If we take a look, as I said, at ongoing programs and assess whether or not they're accomplishing what was intended.
But how do Democrats have so much control over the state budget?
Our state's constitution does not require the majority party to negotiate with the minority party when putting together a budget.
Scott Graves with the Nonpartisan California Budget and Policy Center, which analyzes statewide fiscal decisions, says that's just the reality of California, where the governor and leaders of both legislative houses are Democrats.
These things matter because in the modern legislature, everything revolves around leadership.
There's a lot of politics at play.
There will be a tremendous amount of politics at play, yes.
Yeah.
Especially for Governor Newsom in his final year in office.
I think pragmatism maybe would be more the word he uses this year, and I think that's going to take front and center.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
Jenny, thank you. In response, H.D. Palmer with the California Department of Finance says the governor has finalized his decisions for the budget, which will soon be announced. He also says discussions will start once the legislature reconvenes.
In the Bavarian-style town of Leavenworth, Washington, where the Wenatchee River meets Icicle Creek, there's a small farm with a big secret. It's where Santa's reindeer rest up and bulk up before Christmas.
It's dinner time here. What are you feeding them now?
This is called lichen moss, or old man's beard.
Okay.
And it grows in the old growth forest. So we have a lot of it here in Washington State.
If you didn't know, Santa's reindeer split their time between the North Pole and here at the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm with caretaker Erica Bowie.
I'm the lead elf probably around here, but we're a family-run farm. 3 generations of our family work together on the farm every day. So my parents, Kari and Hans Anderson, started the farm.
You may be wondering why Santa chose to keep his reindeer here in Washington. Well, Erica says there's a good reason.
We get that question a lot, actually. Well, Washington State, is specifically Leavenworth, Washington, sits at the same latitude on Earth as places like Mongolia, where actually some of the largest, healthiest herds in the world roam today.
So we're really kind of in the...
We're in the reindeer zone.
Huh.
In fact, Washington State was the last state in the lower 48 to have reindeer in the wild, or what we call caribou here in North America.
Reindeer and caribou are basically the same species. There's just one difference.
Caribou are wild, reindeer are domesticated, and they have been for thousands of years.
Erica says the Sami people from Norway, Sweden, and Finland use them as livestock, either as food or as pack animals that carried or pulled supplies in sleighs. Here at the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm, they're pets, and visitors can feed them lichen moss or willow leaves. But in the wild, Erica says, they also eat something else.
Reindeer love lichen moss. They love magic mushrooms. Helps with the flying part, of course.
Yep, you heard that right. Erica said they eat magic mushrooms, the psychedelic kind, and Erica has quite the story about how humans found that out.
You know, the legend of flying reindeer actually came from magic mushrooms. Remember the Sami people I was telling you about that call northern Norway, Sweden, and Finland their home? It is rumored, or it is storied, that they used to actually drink reindeer's urine.
Okay.
And they would feel the effects of the magic mushrooms without having to worry about any of the dangerous effects. They'd sit around their campfire and look up in the sky, and they'd think their reindeer were flying through the sky.
Culture is fun.
Culture's so fun.
At the farm, you'll pick up some fun reindeer facts, like how their hooves are built to walk through deep snow and how both males and females grow antlers. But beyond the holiday magic, there's a serious message: the conservation of Washington's wild caribou population.
Like I mentioned earlier, Washington State still had a herd of caribou as recently as 2019. So we had a herd of over 1,000 caribou 10 years ago. That herd dwindled down to about 50 and then down to under 6.
Habitat destruction and climate change are just some of the reasons for population decline, but to build back the wild caribou herd, the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm raises money for the Caribou Conservation Alliance.
So what we do is when the antlers fall off and as natural sheds, we raffle them off to raise money for caribou conservation.
Reindeer are fascinating and gentle animals, and Leavenworth is one of the few places where you can get up close to them and learn all about them.
You don't see the, I guess this one doesn't have a red nose, she doesn't.
No.
No.
Reindeer only have red nose on Christmas Eve, right?
From the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thanks for watching ABC10 This Week. We are here 24/7 on the free ABC10 TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Becca Habiger. Take care and happy holidays.